Hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728, and I wanted to talk about how to get over being upset with someone. This is something that I would have talked about before. I titled it How to Get Over Someone Else, or How to Get Over Someone Shrinklessly. And I kind of came to another realization recently about the process, and I wanted to share what it came to me, um, and what seems to help a little bit. So, like I said, I kind of discovered that this thing works a long time ago, and it wasn't something that I really used regularly until fairly recently, I suppose. I realized actually in making the video that it's something that not just that I should just talk about, but that I should use regularly. And the process really boils down to this. When we're upset with someone, normally what happens is we can't talk to them, because they're not going to listen, or we are just going to start shouting, or it's just going to erupt in something, and maybe it's not worth it, or maybe they don't want to listen, and they don't want to make the time to have the conversation. So it's not that you can always control, and part of it is that, and yeah, it's not like you can always control the circumstances of your discussion. They might be stuck on a point that's irrelevant to the whole reason why you're upset. They may not want to listen. And at the end of the day, the whole reason why, to me, it seems that I was upset and I get upset in certain circumstances is because I don't feel like the person is actually hearing me. They're not listening to what I say. They have their own message that they want me to understand and appreciate, or to forget, that what I think is not important, or whatever the case might be. So the whole process amounts to pretending that you have the person in front of you and they are listening to everything that you want to tell them without interrupting at all. And for me, it works the best where I actually speak out loud, and it's really as if the person is actually there. So I've done that, like I said, and it's worked for me. And but I was in a situation where I used to work in the reserves, and apparently, maybe it is that people in the reserves, some of the people who were below me, maybe amongst them, they started a rumor or something about how I was. And on a couple of occasions when I've seen some people who I used to be on good terms with, they were not as open with me as they had been previously. So, I just let it go, as they said, but really, I didn't. I kind of half saw another person who I was gonna greet as they drove past, and it could be that they didn't really see me, but they didn't greet me, and I was kind of hurt by that. So I didn't want to feel like I was going to be hurt if I saw other people, and they outright rejected me for whatever reason. So I thought that I needed to have a conversation with all of them in my head, or as I said, pretend to do it. And I did it, and for whatever reason, I could still feel a little bit of pain, because when I went back to the situation in my head, I still felt a little bit of like if I wanted to say something still, but there was something that was unsaid. And And I didn't completely understand why that would be the case. I felt like I had said everything I needed to say, and that because really what happens when I've done this and I've done it the right way is that even when I think about the situation or I think about the person, I don't feel anything. It's literally as if I really had put them in front of me and we had talked everything out and come to a complete resolution, and I didn't need, and they had been completely accepting of everything that I had to say. So when it didn't happen, I was a little bit, I was like, what's going on? What's really happening here? And what I seem to realize now is that I was holding on to something that I guess I didn't really want to tell them. And that was really why I still felt some pain. And ultimately, what I needed to tell them was that I was afraid that they were going to reject me and that they were going to ignore me, and that anybody that I saw from the reserves was going to ignore me if I tried to say hi or just look me in the face and turn away. And when I said that was actually what made me completely release the situation. And now when I think about it in my head, I think about seeing this guy driving by and not knowing whether or not he actually saw me and ignored me, or maybe he didn't actually see me. It doesn't bother me whether he really was rejecting me or he wasn't, because I felt like I had said what I needed to say to everybody, and it was okay. There was nothing that I missed out on saying, and the situation was completely resolved. So I realized that it's some of the things that we might not actually want to say in order to resolve a situation might be some of the things that we actually have to say. Like in a movie where two people argued and it was because one person made a mistake and they interpreted a situation incorrectly, but the other person doesn't want to tell that person that they were wrong. They just get upset because the person didn't trust them or whatever the case might be. I remember my ex girlfriend, she said that a friend of hers was talking about all these drugs in some conversation, and she just went off on him and said, hey, don't take drugs. I mean, how can you be taking illegal drugs and blah blah blah. And it actually turned out that the person was talking about prescription medicine that they'd gotten from the doctor. And no, this isn't some kind of opioid thing. This was like quite a while ago, before the opioid crisis thing. So the person got really upset that my ex, would even think that they were on drugs. And she said that she tried to apologize to them and it didn't work. It could be a situation like that sort of thing. And I figure in that sort of situation, both people might have something stuck in their craw kind of thing, where you just don't want to tell the other person how they hurt you. And it's something that you just can't get over. And even if you cut the other person off, it's just something that still hangs in your head. And every once in a while, you bring it up, and it's just there, hanging. But I think even if you don't want to salvage the relationship with the other person, I think it's best to get these things out of our heads. And even if you can't admit it to the other person,
maybe you could pretend to admit it to them, which doesn't cost anything at all, and at least resolve it on your side, where you feel that they've heard you. And, in all of these things, I can't say that I feel like the other person's heard me is something that I conceptualize in my mind. I don't really conceptualize it like feeling like they've heard me. I just feel like, oh my God, I wish I could go back then and say something. And I make an opportunity, and I create the opportunity for myself to go back and say what I needed to say. And even if it's not real, it feels real to the part of my brain that feels hurt. So anyway, guys, as usual, wish me lucks. You can like or unlike, you can comment, subscribe, and or share. Peace.